And welcome to Movie Watch Live. It's been a long time. It's been about 5 or 6 weeks at least since we last did this show. And tonight, joining me is Carl Hungus.
Hey Pete, good to be back on Movie Watch Live after our late summer hiatus. And what was the last one thing we did? Was it The Longest Day?
I think it was. Well, we did Memphis Belle.
Oh, it was Memphis Belle. It was Memphis Belle because we did it the week after.
No, we did Blade Runner. We did Memphis Belle, Red Dawn, and then we did Blade Runner.
Oh, all right.
So Blade Runner was it's about a month ago, I think.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah, I mean, we did The Longest Day 3 months ago, and it's funny because that sort of ties in for what we're doing tonight. So tonight we're watching A Bridge Too Far. Now, this movie was based on a book by the same historian who wrote a book about D-Day. So there is a connection there. The producer and the person who adapted it for screen are also the same people as The Longest Day. So there are some connections there. So the screenplay was written by William Goldman, so it's the same person who wrote The Longest Day. So this is the story about Operation Market Garden, which was in the Second World War, 1944. It was a very, very ambitious plan to end the Second World War by Christmas 1944. And if it had worked, and me and Carl were talking about this before the show, if it had worked, then the world would be very different. The Allies would have invaded Germany long before the Russians got anywhere near the eastern border of Germany. Who knows, the Cold War would never have happened. So this operation and the fact that it failed changed the course of history.
Yeah, this is one of those moments in history where it kind of sits on the edge of a knife, right? It could go one way or the other. And this is also the 75th anniversary this week. It was, so between the 17th of September and the 25th of September 1944 was the duration of Operation Market Garden. So this actually does coincide with our D-Day broadcast that coincided with the 75th anniversary of D-Day.
Exactly. I mean, I bumped into, locally where I lived, I bumped into a couple of veterans. They were having a commemoration service to show their respects for the fallen heroes of this operation. I mean, it was a savage defeat for the British in terms of losses as well. The many people lost their lives. The person I spoke to was called David. He didn't actually serve in the Second World War, but he was showing his respects for veterans that were a lot older. If you're a veteran of this particular campaign, then you would be in your 90s by now. This guy I spoke to was in his late 70s. Well, he was actually, I think he was about 82. And he'd served in, the Far East and everything. And he said he himself had joined when he was 15.
Wow.
And
lied about his age.
So he lied about his age. So I think he said he fought in Burma and Thailand and places like that. So it would have been post First World War. Second World War that he fought in.
And police action.
Yeah, it would have been police actions, and he was saying that he tried to rejoin the military when he got into his 40s, but they wouldn't take him back. So this kind of attitude, and at the age he was raring to go. This is the kind of mentality that I think both the British and American air troops had when they went into this conflict. It was a go-getter attitude, and that's a very rare thing to do.
The Airborne forces, they were the best of the best, man. Only the
cream of the cream.
The guys that could make it through jump school were the best.
Absolutely.
That's what I could offer at the time.
These are the elites of the British Army and the American Army. The 101st. People say here the names 101st Airborne Division. We think of also TV series like Band of Brothers, and this was in one of the episodes of Band of Brothers where they were encountering Operation Market Garden, and also the paratroopers, the British paratroopers. These are the cream of the cream. Also, as well, this film, Carl, we were talking about this as well. In this period of the 60s and 70s, this film's from 1977. In this period of the 60s and 70s, we have these movies where they have these star-studded casts. I mean, just quickly run through the role of actors here. We've got Dirk Bogarde, James Caan, which is you say I agree, he's a highly underrated actor. Michael Caine, as we know, Sean Connery. Sean, better Sean there. Edward Fox, who's very familiar to British audiences. American audience will probably recognize him when they see him. Elliot Gould, Anthony Hopkins, famous for things like Silence of the Lambs. Gene Hackman, well, he needs no introduction. Hardy Kruger always plays the German bad guy. Laurence Olivier, probably the most famous actor ever. Ryan O'Neal, Robert Redford, who was the heartthrob for many years in Hollywood and American films. Fantastic actor. Maximilian Schnell, another great actor.
He always plays German baddies too, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, Liv Ullmann, who was a Norwegian actress, who usually played anything from Dutch to Swedish to Danish to any kind of a part like that, but a very good actress. Music's by John Addison. I don't recognize that name. I'd have to look at what other things he did. But famously, as you were saying yourself, Carl, as well, directed by Richard Attenborough.
Richard Attenborough, yeah. Who was actually Royal Air Force during World War II.
He was, yeah. He
was in the film department. He produced propaganda film, but he did suffer injuries whilst on a mission filming British bombers over Germany.
Exactly. So we'll quickly run through the plot, and then we'll get straight into the movie. While I'm running through the plot, the usual routine we have here is that we're watching the movie separately. So if you want to watch, if you're thinking you're going to see the movie on the stream, you'll need to be watching it separately. We will be commentating, and it's live chat for people to join in and talk about the movie as we watch it. So I've got it free in the UK on a separate link here. That you'll see the link to that in the comments below. And Carl in the US has it free on Amazon Prime. So whatever way you want to watch that, go ahead, get that sorted out now. So while you're sorting that out, we will give a countdown at the start there where everybody can synchronize their movie as
Is
they watch
there a
along
scene
with us.
where they show the SS troops riding their bicycles to the battle? Because that actually happened.
Yeah, I think that might be in there somewhere. So very quickly, while people are
will be funny. Sorry,
yeah. No, that's fine. So while everybody's getting that sorted out, very quick overview of the plot. Operation Market Garden. The idea was 35,000 men being flown over 300 miles from air bases all across England, dropped behind enemy lines in the Netherlands, Holland. 2 divisions of US paratroops, the 82nd and the 101st Airborne, are responsible for securing the roads and bridges as far as Nijmegen. British Division, the 1st Airborne, under Major General Roy Urquhart, is to land near Arnhem and hold both sides of the bridge there, backed by a brigade of Polish paratroopers under General Stanislaw Sosabowski. Also, the 30th Armored Corps, American, are to push up the road over the bridges, captured by American paratroopers, and reach Arnhem, which is to link up with the British paratroopers 2 days after the drop. That was the plan. They were told they would just face Hitler Youth or old men on bicycles. It was very, very different when they got there. So, without further ado, we'll start the show. So, if you're ready now to start your movie, what we generally do is we'll give you a countdown from 3 to 1. After 1, we'll say go. On the count of go, you will start your movie. So, without further ado, it is 3, 2, 1, go. And hopefully we won't have any boomerism. So I've got the MGM Lion. What have you got there, Carl?
I just got the Lion. I boomered it up already.
And my particular recording, I've got UA, United Artists.
Yep, it's just what the UA thing just came up here. I'm going to check my playback speed to make sure we're on the same kind of wavelength, pal.
Hopefully we will be, yeah.
Past, huh? No, it looks good. All right.
Yeah. So we're seeing FLAC, we're seeing actual footage of bomb drops. The thing about this is, well, it's a fine balance because the Allied troops, the Allied command, didn't want to destroy too much of the infrastructure because they needed the bridges to get to Germany.
Yes, and eventually someone has to rebuild it all.
I think we're hearing Liv Ullmann giving her own sort of narrative on what it was. And it's talking about the D-Day changing Europe under Commander General Eisenhower. So August, think about it. August, Paris was free very, very quickly. Within, 2 months, France is liberated. But it wasn't as easy for the rest of Europe, was it, Carl?
No, not at all. I mean, just breaking out of the hedgerows of Normandy took a couple weeks. And then once you got out of that kind of difficult territory, you were able to send your tanks down towards Paris, and you could, go across. But remember, the Germans had years to fortify France and the Siegfried Line and all the territory they controlled. So it wasn't going to be easy, and they weren't going to let up.
Well, that's true. And another thing about this is one of the major reasons for using this tactic was to bypass the Siegfried Line.
Right.
So it was intentionally done. So it was an ambitious plan to bypass the Siegfried Line and hook around the northern end. So the Allies would basically cross across the Rhine and trap the German 15th Army. So that's why that was one of the major reasons. But if you think about the German point of view, the Germans didn't really lose anything strategically by losing France because what they needed most of all was oil. And there's no oil fields in France.
Right.
So here we get the opening title sequence.
Somehow I boomered it up and we're still in sync. So I'm just going to boomer it up every single time.
So Cornelius Ryan, it's just come on the screen there. That's the guy who did the screenplay. We're seeing all the famous cast: James Caan, Dirk Bogart, Michael Caine, Michael Caine, Sean Connery, oh yes, Edward Fox, who always plays the chinless Toffee Wonder, Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould was in the prime of his career. He starred in MASH in the 70s, and
that's it.
A lot of good stuff in the 70s and 80s. Gene
Hackman, Laurence Olivier, goodness me, all these, I'm missing these. Do you know, it's just a star-studded cast. I think so many names. And Maximilian Schnell, you were talking about before, weren't you?
Yeah, he always plays the German baddie. He plays in this movie, I believe.
Yeah. Denham Elliott's in it as well. People will recognize Denham Elliott from the Indiana Jones movies.
Oh, really? Because I don't recognize his name.
Yeah, he was the guy. He was the librarian at the university who was also John Ratzenberger's friend. Yeah.
John Ratzenberger.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I recognize the music as well now.
What's that from?
Yeah, well, this is written for the movie.
They call it the Market Garden March or something like that, I think.
Yeah, and it's a long time since I've seen this movie. Yeah. I remember watching it as a kid, Carl, and not knowing the story, right? And I'm watching it, and the British capture the British. Yeah, come on! And it's like, I remember thinking, hang on, they're losing. And I got really upset because it's like, what? And it was so hard to watch. You know,
this is one of those movies. This is a Saturday movie you watch with your dad.
Yeah.
Well, at least how it was for me. We'd watch like the longest.
I remember watching this with my dad. Yeah, definitely.
Or I swear to God, every single time the Great Escape is on TV, my dad still calls me, tell it's on TV, so we can.
That's brilliant.
So I can watch it with him, basically.
We're gonna have to do that sometime as well.
Great Escape. Yeah, that's another example of one of those all-star studded casts, which incidentally starred Richard Attenborough, director of this movie.
Yes. Now then. So, we're going to the opening scene now. Now, the opening scene is, just to give the background, I mean, that's a fantastic scene in that house there. Arnhem, Holland, September 1944. And just this nice sort of affluent house you have here. Now, this is used in the movie because at the end of the film, there's I think it's the same house, and it's completely wrecked at the end of the movie. And, there's nothing left in it. And it's just to show the toll that war takes on everybody.
Right. This is the cynical 70s. What did he direct right after this? Was it Gandhi he did after this?
That was a little bit. Yeah, that was a little bit later.
Because Gandhi was.
I don't know what these Dutch people are saying here, but this is Liv Ullmann, who's actually Swedish.
So she's the narrator from the beginning. She's basically telling.
Yeah.
Perspective.
So the Dutch are really happy now. To be honest, if you go, and I was just talking to a friend of mine who's a policeman I work with. He's an ex-policeman. I work with him, and you go to Holland now. They love the British. They love the Americans. They don't like the Germans too much. I wonder why.
They invested in droves in the Waffen-SS. In droves into the Waffen-SS.
Yeah. But so here we see a column of German troops. And these are the people who are retreating from France. So this is
like sympathizers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is they're retreating through Holland, and these are the retreating German forces because we pushed the buggers out of France. Yeah. Consequently, the Germans aren't popular in France either. I'll tell you that.
So that's odd that German soldier has the little gorget around his neck. Those were field gendarme, which is basically field police.
Yeah, that would have been reserved for like more senior officers.
It was a normal thing for a military policeman in the German service to wear those. That was the thing. But I'm just not sure that they would be there specifically. They might be.
Exactly. Now, I'm not seeing the subtitles correctly on here, so fortunately, I also purchased it on Amazon, so I can watch it on there as well. So this is the German Field Command in Holland. This guy here on the screen is, I think, I'm not sure the name of the officer because it doesn't introduce him like it does on.
Is that Maximilian Schnell? Because if it is, it's Gert von Rundstedt, who was the field marshal in charge of France, basically.
Yeah.
He was coincidentally hung after the war for war crimes.
So what time are you at now then, Carl?
I am at 9 minutes and 13 seconds.
Okay, so anybody watching, and that's the time we're at there.
Sounds like they're angry all the time when they speak German.
Well, German sounds like that to me all the time. I like to say that German sounds like a typewriter wrapped in foil being thrown down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, there you go. Now you've alienated every single one of your German fans.
Sorry, German fans, but that's what it sounds like. We've got a Dutch lady here who's come out to serve her customers. Is that where you're at right now?
Yes, and the
German
behind, they're approaching. This guy with a
So I'm at 10:20 now.
I'm
Guys, just come through the trap door into the attic.
Exactly.
I'll just pause a moment. There we go. Russia van de water through. That's what Dutch sounds like. It's not a horrible language. It's fine. It's very similar.
All Dutch is just like slurred German, anyways, right?
Those idiots don't realize war takes time. Listen to the expert. I was 9 when they got here. I'll be 14. I had to know something.
This kid's gonna get shot, isn't he? Probably not.
The Allies will come, but when? General Browning's HQ, England. General Browning. Oh, wonderful.
Did you do your best RP, Pete Mac? You're the company of gentlemen here.
This is Dirk Bogart, famous English actor of the day.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, he was in loads of stuff. In the war, by Christmas, less than 100 days.
Now the plan is very simple.
Yes.
I like his pink earring. Look at that. It's very posh. Very posh.
Yes, yes.
Who's
that on the screen right now? The American officer? That actor there? He was in loads, wasn't he?
I got to see him again. I was too busy being stupid and talking. Oh, that guy right there?
No. The younger guy by the fireplace. No, sorry, sitting in the corner.
Gene Hackman on the right.
Yeah.
And the guy in the middle, I don't know who that is.
Sean Connery.
The Airborne guy, I'm not sure who that is.
On the right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Gene Hackman's playing the Polish dude, huh?
Yeah. Now, the Polish were treated with contempt by almost everybody. There's the phrase, with thunderclap surprise.
Yes.
So yeah, the 101st, it didn't work.
Spoiler alert, it's only 75 years.
Sorry.
You know.
Arnhem. Yep. And they did.
For how long?
Yes.
So, are you a pro mustache Connery guy or a no mustache Connery guy?
I'm a pro mustache and I'm pro non-mustache.
Oh, yeah, no.
Look, I saw Sean Connery in Zardos.
Oh, that's one we've got to do there.
Actually, yes. I'll even go to that territory. Yes. So the British paratroops were only supposed to have to hold Arnhem Bridge for 2 days.
What do you think they're drinking right there? Because they're drinking something.
A little bit of whiskey. What's
the most posh thing that you think British officers are drinking?
That would be single malt 50-year-old whiskey.
Excellent. Good choice.
It'll be something like, a week's wages for one bottle.
Oh, look at that. In his Sam Brown belt, he's got a little strap for his whistle. That's such an anachronism for World War I. See that? That's a cool little thing, dude. Check it out on Browning's Sam Brown belt. And you see his whistle.
The Brown belt as well. Yeah, they were throwbacks to the First World War.
Yeah, that's a throwback to World War I. That's a whistle.
Yeah. I'm not sure Gene Hackman's Polish accent works.
No.
It sounds more Irish. Is this the only foreigner Gene Hackman ever played?
I don't know. No, he was in.
This is an important one. Montgomery or Patton? What do you think, Patton? He is their best. Patton will lead the assault. So the Germans were shit scared of Patton. Mm-hmm. I'm just putting that there.
Who's he? That right there. I mean, is that supposed to be Rommel or von Rundstedt or somebody?
I'm not sure. Actually, it's not.
Rommel was dead by this time, wasn't he? He committed suicide already, right?
Rommel was gone by this time, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe the chat will correct us. Well, the
So,
viewers
I
will
mean,
correct us
as
later
far
on.
as Gene Hackman playing a Polish guy, what was Charles Bronson, like, busy or something? Because that guy could do a
Probably.
Polish accent.
Probably he could have done it. Like,
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, he was like Russian or something, wasn't he? Or Lithuanian or something?
yeah. Don't forget as well, the Canadians lost tons of troops in this operation. The Canadian army was also in charge of trying to take Nijmegen, I think.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So I mean, this is the two officers now talking about the weather.
Well, he's a brigadier general, so I don't know who that is. I gotta look this up. Operation Market Guard. I gotta find the movie on Wikipedia here.
Harry.
Because that, I believe, is Ryan O'Neal. Just not sure who's playing.
Hang on, I'll see what the cast is.
Don't steal my thunder, Pete Mac.
Do you want me to tell you? I've got it.
Give it to me. Lay it on me, man.
Brigadier General James Gavin, Division Commander, U.S. 82nd Airborne Division, U.S. Army at the bridge across the Maas River in Grava. Later at the Maas-Waal Canal on the bridge across the Waal River at Nijmegen. Brigadier General James Gavin.
Hooah! Yeah, it's Ryan O'Neal playing James Gavin.
That's a nice Welsh name, Gavin.
James Maurice Jumpin' Jim Gavin.
That's him.
Commanding General of the 82nd Airborne during World War II.
Yep.
Guy's nickname for taking part in combat jumps with the paratroopers under his command.
Von Holstadt, yeah, they've identified Von Holstadt is the field marshal. The Dutch father and son here, they've identified that it is, because they probably have connections to the intelligence. So it is Von Holstadt.
All right.
General, mein General. Are we the bad guys? We have the skulls and stuff on our uniforms. We must be the bad guys. No.
Hans, are we the baddies?
Yeah. That's it.
I love David Mitchell and Robert Webb.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
They are complete lefties, but they are funny.
They are funny. I think David Mitchell kind of is center left, not necessarily completely left. I've seen some of his rants on stuff. He's got his head on about a couple things.
Yeah.
Right here they're talking about expecting only Hitler Youth and old men on bicycles. So
yeah. So shout out for, I don't know what Cosmetti meant when she said say that again, but Praetorian, I'll fire your bridge.
Sean is always
Cosmetti, Sean is always good.
Indeed, yes, Cosmetti. Oh yes.
Sean Connery
is a shite for Sean Reich.
And also Zardos, exclamation mark. Indeed.
To speak to Cosmetti's point, Sean Connery is good no matter what he's in. And oftentimes better than Pete Mac's impersonation of Sean Connery.
Well, the real Sean Connery is always better than my impersonation of Sean Connery.
Oh, boy.
I need to drop Sean's as close as possible.
Dude, General James Gavin was a pretty interesting guy. I recommend checking him out. He basically built Airborne for the United States Army.
Is he another one of these like guys who did loads by the time he was like 25?
No, he's played by Ryan. What's his name? What the hell is his name? Ryan O'Neal, who's way younger than he was. He was by this time he was in his mid-30s. He was almost 40 by the time this happened.
So that's the same thing they did with D-Day, with Longest Day, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did it to a few people, but yeah, he's a little bit older. He should be a little bit older, but but regardless, he did a lot of stuff. I mean, Yeah, interesting guy. Ended up being a ambassador to France during the '60s under Kennedy.
Well, there you go, because Matty said it. I just like it when Pete Mack talks. Well,
I do too.
there you go.
So now they're talking about the particulars of the operation.
Right, yeah, this is where the character Sean Connery's playing, which is he's basically picking out the possible problems with the plan, and it's Major General
Roy Urquhart.
Roy Urquhart, 1st British Airborne Division.
And this guy was the one who sort of saw the possible mistakes that were going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the young Dutch kid. There's a Spitfire in the Operation Overlord colours. Just gone straight over the top of him.
That's the classic look, right?
Yeah, and that is the beautiful A-wing shape.
Look at the joy in that kid's face, man.
Yeah. Now, that pilot could be English, but it could also be Polish.
You could.
There's
could be American. They were American.
Well, Canadian. There was Americans who joined the war before America joined.
That's correct. That is correct.
So.
He must know what he's doing.
Yeah. So the gliders as well, a lot of the gliders were held back because of really bad weather. So they couldn't distribute all of their troops in the timing they wanted. So one of the big factors against them was really bad weather. Because remember, all this technology was groundbreaking. The the gliders and everything was a brand new thing. The Second World War brought all of this stuff into being that just didn't exist beforehand. You know what you were saying about his throwback whistle and belt and everything? That's a First World War Royal Flying Corps top he's wearing there.
Oh yeah.
That looks like an RFC uniform he's wearing.
Huh.
The Royal Flying Corps.
Only the weather can stop us now. Well,
and that's exactly what happened.
What of the Germans? Did you hear how we pronounced it?
Sorry, Gene. That is not a Polish accent. What of the Germans?
What of the Germans?
Those blasted Germans. This is portrayed quite accurately. The British were extremely bad with the Polish.
Yeah.
Here's a quick sort of overview. The Polish played an instrumental part in the Battle of Britain. Okay, and we were talking about this off screen before the show started about all of the sort of conspiracy and world powers and all this. After the Second World War finished, the Allies didn't want to upset the Russians, so in the victory parades, the Polish were told to not be there, and they didn't get featured at all because they didn't want to upset the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the Polish contribution to the Second World War and the Allied effort was extremely important.
As far as I can recall, there was an entire flight wing of just Polish.
There was a squadron of Polish fighter pilots in the Second World War, and they had the biggest kills. They had more kills than anybody else because they had a real hatred for the Germans. So they get back to their country and find, it wasn't the German. We got rid of the Germans, but guess what? Now the Russians own your country.
A lot of those guys ended up defecting to Britain and the United States after World War II.
That's it.
What's the point of liberating your country from one set of oppressors just to have it ruled by another set of oppressors?
The Second World War was not a victory for the Allies because it was only Western Europe that was liberated.
Mm-hmm.
The Eastern Europe just changed changed managers, didn't it? From one despot to another.
If you want to think about it, World War II never really ended because we're still dealing with the shit. We're still dealing with an EU that formed after the war.
Very true. And it was Hitler's idea to have a federal Europe with one currency, blah, 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 to remove the nation state sovereignty of all these countries. Tell that to people who really believe in the EU, it gets difficult. But let's not make this too political.
Well, I mean, it all ties in together, so it's pertinent. It's, as Sierra Whiskey would say, it's apt.
It's definitely very wapped. Now the intelligence and map reading and photography and everything really came into its own in the Second World War as well.
They kind of throw Browning under the bus in this thing, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
I'm
just having some snack here.
It's all right. I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
Mm-hmm. So this, I love this is something that who's that director? He does this all the time. He loves lens glare. I love a nice natural lens glare. So this is the Panzer divisions. This guy's found them. He's telling Browning, and Browning just doesn't want to know. Browning's briefing was keep everything extremely positive and don't talk about any of the potential pitfalls. So this is the second Panzer divisions. These are SS Panzer. These are core crack troops.
Right. I mean, those Panzer divisions, those are SS Panzer divisions. Those are dudes that have slugged it out for 3 or 4 years on the Eastern Front. They know their business. They're not pushover old men on bicycles, and they're certainly not Hitler Youth.
They're not Hitler Youth, exactly.
I mean, these guys, these are the kind of guys that have no compunction about going to a fucking village and massacring everybody.
Oh yeah,
and then going
burning the whole thing down and killing
having
everybody.
schnapps afterwards, and then go killing some Russians.
Well, quick fact about the second SS Panzer Corps is in January 1944, they were ordered to Alençon area of France. In the late March, early April, were sent to France, the Eastern Front.
Is that how you pronounce that? In America, we pronounce that
Alençon. When a C's got like a little accent underneath, it's like an S sound.
Take your Euro trash accents.
But yeah, they fought against the Red Army. They were ordered to take part in the Battle of Normandy, but they were ordered back to France. So they're absolute psychos.
Yeah, like I'm saying, man, these are not the dudes you want to just go into thinking you're going to have an easy fight.
Exactly. There's an interesting quote this is James Fox, and you can see what I mean when he always played the archetypal toffee-nosed aristocrat.
His name, but I know his face.
Right?
100 things. I just never
and this is the positive spin they gave everything. And hear him describe it like an American Western.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a description. He's pointing at the map. We were on the Belgian border at this point.
They should have rolled through Luxembourg while they're at and shoot that place up.
Yeah.
Useless fucks.
Yeah, they've certainly been kicking off, trying to make themselves heard.
That's Euro trash tax shelter right there, right?
Oh, definitely trying to make Boris look bad. Lieutenant General Brian Horrocks.
Is that our man up there right now?
Yep, Brian Horrocks. So the 9 major bridges had to be taken and held. It was. If this had worked, the war would have been over by 44. We would have got to Berlin while the Russians were still trying to kill sheep in Poland.
All right, let me tell you something about Lieutenant General Sir Brian Gwyn Horrocks. This guy was no slouch. All right. Yeah. I'm just looking at his bio real quick. This guy served in the First World War, the Russian Civil War, was taken prisoner twice, competed in the modern pentathlon of 1924 Paris Olympics, was a television presenter, wrote military history books, and was in the House of Lords for 14 years.
Wow.
I'm sorry,
he
was the Black Rod in the House of Lords.
Oh, he played the Black Rod as well. There's Kane. Oh, lovely. Oh, he's playing. This is Posh Kane. It's
there's
Posh
two kinds
Kane.
of Kane. You have Posh Kane, and you have
Posh
common
Kane. I don't know which I like best, really. I like a bit of Posh Kane as well.
Posh Kane was like the big thing in the 60s and 70s for him, right?
Yeah.
And in later years, he kind of went to Cockney Kane.
Yeah.
Which is obviously natural Kane. But I like Cockney Kane because you don't expect it. Because you see him as Lieutenant Bromhead at York's Drift with his perfect accent.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell is the Black Rod in the House of Lords? It sounds awesome.
The Black Rod, he's the guy who bangs on the door to open the doors. I won't get it. It's too complicated.
Some of these days, you've got to explain Parliament to me because I don't get it.
Just bizarre theatre. The entire thing is bizarre theatre.
Oh. Yeah, no, anyway, this guy, he was a big deal, so.
Listen. We, my friends, are the cavalry. Like an American Western. What's the cavalry's bugle call? I forget it now. Something like that. Anyway,
that's Reveille. That's Wake Up in the Morning.
Oh yeah, that's Reveille, isn't it? Yeah. So here we have Anthony Hopkins.
He looks like Hitler right there with that comb over. Doesn't he?
Thing is, though, a lot of people had mustaches and hairstyles.
I understand that, but he could play Adolf.
Well, he's portraying Lieutenant Colonel John Frost.
All right, all I'm saying is Hugo Boss on him, and he's Adolf.
Lieutenant Colonel John Frost was the commander of the 2nd Battalion Parachute Regiment, 1st Parachute Brigade, 1st British Airborne Division at Arnhem Road Bridge. So he was in the thick of it. CBDSO and bar MCDL.
And there's Khan, Salt of the Earth. He's playing a staff sergeant.
There's Khan, yeah. Khan goes crazy later in this movie.
He goes crazy in The Godfather too. So that's
yeah,
kind of like
does. Yeah. I remember him more for Alien Nation.
Oh, that was when we were kids that came out, right? So that would have been more.
So that's why it sticks in my brain.
But the first thing I thought was Staff Sergeant Sonny Corleone. So.
Yeah, well, this is it. You tell me, Eddie. You tell me I won't die, Eddie.
Guarantee you won't die.
Guarantee me. Is that like a Bronx accent?
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be.
It's like you can tell that young kid's probably not even American. That's like a fake American accent.
Oh, Michael Caine is playing Lieutenant Joe Vandeleur of the Irish Guards. Huh. Let's see. Actually, kind of looks like the guy. If you look at the picture of the guy, looks like him.
Caine did loads of World War II stuff. There was one he did where he played a German officer. I forget now. I'll have to find that one. So,
his family is originally from Kilrush, County Clare.
Michael Caine, you mean?
No, the guy he's playing.
Yeah.
Joe Vandeleur.
Michael Caine was a proper Cockney.
Oh yeah.
He could claim because to be a Cockney you have to be born within sound of the 7 bells,
right?
Which is the 7 particular churches, but there aren't any anymore because things have changed a lot since then. So,
now it's just East London, basically.
Yeah, it's East London now. So the conversation here is again where the more studious officers are sort of pointing out the dangers of the plan, and about the conspiracy you were talking about is because every time everybody raised an objection, they were told to shut up about it. So it's almost as if those who were in the know knew this wasn't going to succeed. That's very conspiratorial, isn't it, Carl?
It really is. I mean, he's like this young guy right here. He's basically a whistleblower. He's like, guys, this is not going to
This is
work out so
crazily
well.
over the top. Yeah.
And then these guys are hushing it for whatever reason. If it's, I don't know, if it's to save face for Montgomery, that's stupid. If it's to save face for Browning, that's stupid. You haven't kicked off yet.
So was it really to keep the Russians happy? Was it really to slow the pace of the Allied advance? Was it really to make the British look stupid? Was it, I don't know, what was it?
Well, you know,
if we're going to go down that direction.
The conspiratorial, all right. If you're a conspiracy theorist and you have proclivities towards that sort of thing, just look at who's underwriting both sides of the war. And that'll tell you exactly what you need to know. Who's paying for all this?
Yeah.
Who's financing it?
Yeah.
And these are like their last moments of respite before the fury of battle.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing right now is the quiet before the storm, isn't it?
Exactly.
Everybody doing what they do. I mean, think about this guy here who's, oh, that's a fantastic shot. That is, see, today that would just be CGI. And he would say, oh, that's, you know, pointless and meaningless. These are just all computer generated. This is real. These are all real men marching into planes. So that's a really good shot.
It is. I kind of think it would have, the filming, the cinematography of this film could have, I don't know, seeing it in stark color.
It could have been slightly better. The thing about Attenborough is he's a sentimentalist.
No, it's not that. I'm trying to describe it because, like, it doesn't, the uniforms and everything in the planes look like the time, but the film doesn't give you that it looks like the time kind of a thing, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's sort of like, it should remind you more of what they did with Band of Brothers type of thing and Saving Private Ryan.
Well, I guess I don't know. It just, they're using the same film stock that they use in like all those late 70s blockbusters like Superman and Star Wars, not Star Wars, but like
I think
Star
they're
Trek.
It's funny though, because this film came out in 77, which is exactly the same year as Star Wars.
It just looks too polished is what I'm trying to say.
It does look polished, but it does remind me of Star Wars. Because even though it was the mission overall was a failure, the sort of optimism, I think that's what Attenborough's trying to bring across, the positivity of the operation. Or he was like, yeah, let's go get those bloody Germans. But
there's also kind of an undercurrent here of like foreboding and doom.
Yeah.
There's an undercurrent here too.
So these are the Red Berets. Okay. Now, that's the mark of a paratrooper. That is the elite of the British military. You have the Green Berets.
Airborne wears Red Berets in the United States as well.
So who are the Green Berets?
Green Berets are United States Army Special Forces. And what they'll do is, see, each branch has different special forces for different things, right? The Army Rangers are light infantry. They're kind of like our version of the SAS.
I thought the Navy SEALs are more like the SAS.
The Navy SEALs do the same thing, but they do more kind of like small team operations and all kind of like situations they can do stuff. Our Army Rangers are sent in generally in like company or platoon size units, and they do like light infantry stuff, which is basically kind of the same thing that paratroopers do, but it's just different for different applications, I would say. But Green Berets, what they do is they're special forces, and they go behind enemy lines, and they work with local forces. Their kind of specialties. They work with local forces, like they work with like tribesmen in South Vietnam, and
Right.
teach them to fight and things like that. That's their kind of a
Yeah.
role. But
Again, this isn't CGI. We saw a bit of painted matte special effect before for the like hundreds of planes, but we are seeing like at least 30 or 40. What are they, de Havilland? The planes that are towing the gliders.
you're the British guy. I'm not the expert on that.
No, they were an American plane.
Oh.
But I think in 77 there was still quite a few of them around. These gliders were a British invention. But no, the prop planes that are towing them.
Right. I have no idea, Pete. I'm not.
Somebody can tell us in the chat. But yeah, what are they? Those planes? Because it's the same technique they used in D-Day.
All right, give me a moment, Pete. I'll look it up for you. All right, you carry on, sir.
The gliders.
All right, I guess Pete's gonna look it up himself. He's faster than I am, so bear with us.
No, I'm not getting it, but.
Well, it's a fairly minor point at any rate.
The airspeed Horser is what you're seeing as the gliders, but they were pulled by, they were used for D-Day, Operation Dragoon, Operation Market Garden, Operation Varsity. And they were designed to be prefab. You could assemble them anywhere. Anyway, back to the movie. And this is
that's a great shot. The all the planes over the church.
Typical Norman church somewhere in the home counties. Oh, how dare they drown out our Sunday service? Of course, the first day of Operation Market Garden, the drop, as it was known, happened on here we are now, British landings day 1, Sunday 17th of September. So they would have been celebrating their Sunday service.
Also keep in mind, this is the largest airborne operation
that was ever mounted.
Is it ever? So this is the
second one. 35,000.
I was going to say it was the largest one up to this point in history, bigger than D-Day even. So I mean,
yes,
it could very well be the largest operation in history.
Well, what they saw from D-Day was how quickly the airborne troops captured bridges on D-Day, and they thought, let's do this on a grand scale.
So what you're saying is that kind of like in a roundabout way, this is all Lord Lovat's fault for capturing that goddamn bridge in the longest day.
Yeah, they were extremely successful. So I thought this will work again. So here's Michael Caine, Posh Caine, with James Fox,
in charge of an armored division of the Irish Brigade.
Do you know James Fox was in the movie Day of the Jackal, the original and best version of Day of the Jackal?
That's one of the places
absolutely unbelievably good movie.
Absolutely.
Both these lads, working class Londoners, both of them, right? But if you want to make a living as an actor, you have to be able to do a top voice.
I do like Michael Caine's ascot, though. That's classic.
James Fox's officer's cap and his beret. I'm just in Action Man zone right now, right? When I was a kid, I had Action Men, right? You had G.I. Joe, we had Action Man. Right, we had Action Man, who had eagle eyes. You had a little switch at the back of his head. You could turn his eyes from side to side. And this was the uniform. You had one that was an officer's uniform. You had the red banded officer.
What's that? General officer or something?
Yeah, and then you had the beret as well. I think my Nana, God rest her soul, I'll say something more about her husband's involvement, my grandfather's involvement in Second World War. She said once, or somebody said to her husband, my grandfather, is that beret on your head or is it walking beside you? Because you know how the beret in the Second World War, the fashion was to wear it so it was almost falling off your head. It's like,
Well,
is that berry on your head, or is it walking along beside you?
that's a fine tradition that goes back in history, pal.
Yeah.
A well-worn hat is one that is cocked at a jaunty angle. Let me tell you that much right now.
Yes. There's nothing like a jaunty angle to liven things.
If you don't cock your hat at a jaunty angle, you're not a man. Sorry.
That's right.
I like his little leather vest over his officer's blouse as well.
Yeah. So here is the assembled assault brigade in British Armed Forces. Oh, look, somebody's got Berlin or bust on the side of the the Shermans there. And yeah, the British version of what would you call it in the American armed forces? The version of like a brigade is like
brigades are units in the American Armed Forces.
Yeah, and there's a lot of shared.
There's a lot. I mean, it's broken down into platoons. If you want to really break it down, fire teams, squads, platoons, companies, battalions, brigades, or I don't know if they use regiments anymore. Regiments has a Civil War thing. It goes back that far, but I don't think we use it anymore. But battalions and on up.
Mm-hmm.
The chicken. I'm not sure what's going on with the chicken here.
I'm not sure myself either.
Note the direction the flags are pointing on their arms.
Yeah.
A lot of modern artists do it wrong because now we turn them the other way on modern military uniforms, but
they forget that it was originally that way. Yeah.
Yes.
In here, Mateus. I'll translate for people who don't have the.
These are SS guys. You don't want to fuck with these.
The angle there is pretty good. I do like that. The pan out. I remember that actor there. Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he's a German officer. Just wants to have such power in my hands. And somebody was talking about the bombing of Hamburg at work today. Apparently, in one weekend, more bombs were dropped on Hamburg than the whole of the war.
Wow.
On any German city. 'Cause towards the end of the war, I think the British and Americans had just had enough. And it was like, let's bomb them into submission. But I don't know, if the war had lasted longer, it would have featured jet fighters on both the British and the German side. We had the Gloucester, which was a jet fighter.
If the Germans were still fighting in August of 1945, they would have dropped a nuke on Berlin.
Yeah, but like I say, the bomb would have been dropped on Berlin eventually.
It would have been dropped on Berlin, then they probably would have dumped one on Tokyo.
Yeah. So there we go, getting the air troops deployed. So this will be the British Airborne Brigade. It'll also be the American 82nd and 101st.
So they went straight across the Channel and the North Sea. They didn't go across France?
Yeah, because by this time, German air defenses, German fighters weren't operational over France mostly.
By this point, the Allies had gained.
We had air superiority in France.
So let me ask you this then: how far inside enemy lines were they dropping?
That's a good question, actually. According to the information I've got, it was a success all round in the first landing. Almost all the troops dropped in their drop zones without incident. 82nd Airborne Division, 89% landed in or within 1,000 meters or 3,300 feet of the drop zones. And this is behind enemy lines. These people are all being dropped behind enemy lines. It was intended to surround the German rear guard.
So where's the flak? Why is there no flak going up at this point if they're behind enemy lines?
That's a good point. I don't know, because there were guns, and there's a picture I've got of the Northumbrian Division, the 50th Northumbrian, walking past an 80-pounder German mega gun, which was captured and spiked. They're dropping into heather fields here. This is not. Sorry, audience. This is not Holland. This is Scotland or Northumbria somewhere.
Right.
There's no heather. There's no fields of heather in Holland. This has been. This is. I'm sorry to break it to everybody, but this is. He's got a bloody fox hunting. It's a bloody fox hunting trumpet. Lead on. Get the dogs out.
Pete, are you ever surprised by just the weird things that the British officer class and the eccentricities of the upper class do never amaze me?
To be honest, I have to say, as a nation, the British are nuts. All right.
This is the same country that, in order to combat U-boats driving up the Thames, right?
Yeah.
They commissioned guys to go out in rowboats with hammers to bang down the periscopes if they saw it.
That's it. It's
a true fucking story.
Lunacy.
A little mallet. Go out in a rowboat with a mallet and bang down the periscope.
You see, now that's why I insist that there's a lot of Irish blood in the English. that's like, you know, the Celtic spirit is not dead.
That utterly mad spirit.
Yeah. So
there's our general making his jump.
There he is. He's landing there. And that's another thing that was unique about airborne soldiers at the time. They dropped in with their troops. You know, they were part of the gang.
Well, he was unique for that, apparently. So much so that he got that nickname, right?
Yeah.
So this was like a interesting feature of his personality.
This is I mean, the British Army didn't have any decent tanks. We had the Shermans from you lot, and the Sherman. Why was it the Allies didn't have any decent tanks?
Because we put all our R&D into airplanes, all right?
Yeah.
And really big fucking bombs.
Because the British invented the bloody tank in the first place.
Correct. How come you let the Germans and the Russians figure it out better than you did?
Because in the 1930s, we were sitting on our arse doing nothing while the Germans were rearming. So that's why.
Fair enough.
But I don't know what the American... I mean, the American military was investing a lot in the Navy, wasn't it? The American Navy was huge by the 1930s.
Yeah, they're pretty big, and the Pacific Fleet was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really investing in air flight and developing fighters and bombers and stuff. I don't know.
So this guy here is the SS commander. Okay, famous German actor. And he actually mounts an extremely effective defense. This is Hardy Kruger, who was Generalmajor de Waffen SS Karl Ludwig. You can't get much more German than Karl Ludwig.
Karl Ludwig, no.
Karl Ludwig.
Karl Ludwig, yeah.
But he's not actually the person who was there at the time. He's based on Heinz Harmel, who was the division commander of the 10th SS Panzer Division, Frundsberg, but he did not want his name to be mentioned in the film. So they invented this character, General Major de Waffen SS Karl Ludwig, because Heinz Harmel didn't want his name shown in the movie. I don't know, maybe because he was living in Argentina by this time. Do not mention my name.
My name must remain secret.
Secret, yes.
Yeah, Heinz Harmel was 94 when he passed away. Holy shit.
James Caan. Oh, no, not James Caan. The other guy. It's just wasted a German in the... This is. See, so the artillery didn't make it with them. They had no artillery. They had no jeeps. They got the men in, but no heavy stuff. And
Right.
some loonies walking around the bushes there, around the woods, who've escaped because the loony bin's been bombed, and they've all escaped. Now, today's world, these people will be regarded as SJWs. Oh, look, the SJWs have escaped.
And Michael Caine is not happy at that.
So he has some mortars. Royal Engineers laying down covering fire. What poundage would you say those guns are?
I don't know. Those are light field guns. So I can look it up.
Yeah.
British light field gun. Let's see. You'll have to bear with me because Pete Mack asks me these weird questions when I don't have the answers handy. Good audience. So,
yeah.
All right, let's see. World War II. All right, those are World War One.
So we're seeing the Shermans advance with covering fire. Though
let me see. I might have it, Pete. I might have actually friggin' found it.
Yeah.
It's a QF 18 pounder. Ordnance QF 18 pounder. Formed a backbone of the Royal Field Artillery during the war and produced in large numbers.
Yeah.
Used by British forces, all main theaters, and by British troops in Russia. So this was from World War One.
Yeah. You just got to lay down enough fire.
Yeah, be the right one.
And get close enough. And they're not reaching, the range isn't great enough. They're not reaching the Germans there in the woods. And of course, the Germans have always got bigger guns. Because the Germans have always relied on artillery. Ever since the days of, goodness me, who was the German, Prussian commander during Napoleonic times? What was his name?
Blücher.
Blücher. Yeah, General Blücher. Yeah. Oh, they're starting to hit the Germans now.
I gotta see these guns. I think I gave you bad information, Pete. I might have looked at the wrong one.
That's all right. So this is what we're seeing now is the advance of the Sherman column. A lot of the landings near Nijmegen, there was only one major road in, and it was well defended by the Germans. And I think it was called the Road to Hell because it was so well defended and the fighting got really intense.
It sounds nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nice place to visit.
And so we're seeing the Germans calculating the range to the Sherman tanks. Yeah, they're going to start opening fire on the Shermans. And these are the Panzers, I think, coming up soon, who, the British just denied existed. This is anti-tank. This is an anti-tank unit here, German anti-tank gun.
Yes. See, this is kind of like the most interesting period of the war, too, for me. Yeah. It's a direct hit right on the side, man. That's not going to survive.
The Sherman armor wasn't the best.
They had, especially on the sides and in the rear, but they had all kinds of weird weapons, and they had in France at the time, like these rail guns and stuff.
Yeah. The Shermans had a nickname or something. I'm sure it was like they had a horrible nickname for, when they were like, they would really blow. When they blew, they would, it would hit the fuel tank easily, and it would go up like I don't know what the purple smoke is there. Whether that's a marker.
It's probably a flare or a marker or something.
Yeah. So
All
the
right.
Germans are retreating now because it's sheer numbers. There's more Shermans than German guns. But the British Tommies are getting it hard as well. Germans are launching mortar attacks.
Let's see.
See, I don't know why. There's the RAF's coming in now. I don't know why they didn't just do this at the start. Yeah, I think one of the accusations about Market Garden was there wasn't enough air support.
Well, and that only feeds into the, whole conspiracy theory on thing about it too.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So, in this part of the film, we've seen that they've finally defeated the Germans who have been dug in this side of the road, and the Germans are now surrendering. This is another major problem they had. They took thousands of German prisoners, and as soon as you take prisoners, you've now lost men because you need to assign men to, police the prisoners. The Germans didn't have this problem because most of the time the Germans never took prisoners. They just shot everybody.
At least on the Eastern Front.
Yeah. Whereas the British, in general, I'm not saying we're perfect, but in general, we do tend to take prisoners.
Right. Let's see. Trying to find you that nickname of the Sherman.
I just wonder whether this is filmed.
Well, one of the benefits of the Sherman, though, man, is it's such a basic platform. They made so many variants of it, and it was all.
They did all the variations for D-Day as well, didn't they?
Right. So I mean, that was the benefit to it. I mean, is that super adaptable?
Yeah.
Obviously,
you ever see a lone German soldier who's found a crashed airspeed Horsa, and all of the troops on board are dead. So he's got in there. Now he's going to start looting it and seeing what's in there. He's found a map with the plan, Operation Market Garden, with all of the operational information. So he's, goody, I'll get a promotion for this.
See, what will happen there is he'll get like he'll get a few marks.
That would never, this is strange. That would never happen. They would never put sensitive documents in a glider. So it's like as if they're giving the Germans the plans, Carl.
Yeah, it's silly.
This feeds into the conspiracy theory again. We sound like complete idiots here saying that there was
we sound like complete idiots no matter what we say.
But, yeah, true. Anybody who's listening, we don't mind if you think we're complete idiots.
Well, we are. We fully admit that, and you have nothing on us. Admit it. But I was going to make a point. You're making a point. He's doing that we get a promotion or something. No, you know what's going to happen. He gives that to an officer. The officer is going to give him a couple Deutschmarks so he can spend it next time he gets any leave, if he even survives. And then he's going to turn it in and get the damn Knight's Cross.
Yeah. It's the Iron Cross.
Well, the Knight's Cross is the higher version of the Iron Cross.
All right. Sean Connery's going to have a cup of tea now.
The lunatic's laughing at me from the woods.
Yes. My communications are broken down by a cup of tea. Yes. Couldn't hurt, sir.
You got a point, right? I mean,
do you know what it is? I've got to say, Everything seems a little bit better with a cup of tea. So here's the Prussians. The Britons are broken. The Britons, the Brokens, the Britons. The Brackens, the Brookens. Listen, Fragen, Frugen. Frigen, Fragen, Frugen. Mit was? With what?
Just look at their hand gestures. That's better. You can tell what they're saying just by their hand gestures.
I have spoken to von Rundstadt. All his reinforcements come to us first. Every hour we grow stronger and they agree. But if you blow the bridges, they don't want the bridges. I'm going to do this like Arnie. They would have landed 12 kilometers away. It's ridiculous.
Do you want to drive off the small following that we do have watching right now, Pete?
Sorry. Thank you for the tea. Get to the chopper. No.
So there's a little parallel there. They're both drinking tea.
The amount of extras they must have employed for this. There's Anthony Hopkins. Chianti. And there's a real sort of strong, saturated color to this movie as well, isn't it? It's really
that's
strong.
That's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. That's exactly what I was talking about.
He's got a proper kipper tie. It's like 1970s tie.
Yeah.
The Dutch are the tallest people in Europe. Did you know that?
He also has wild eyes. Did you notice that? His eyes look like
they're also almost invariably blonde.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange. They're like no other people in Europe, the Dutch.
They're weird. Dutch are weird.
Yeah. So, thank you for coming. But yeah, even today, the British and the Americans are extremely welcomed in Holland. The Dutch like us a lot. I mean, the Dutch are very similar to the British and the Americans. Very similar, shared sort of thing. This is the 101st Airborne. Hoo-ha!
Hoo-ha! Yeah, if you look back at the Dutch language and stuff, the English language has the most similarities with the Frisian language, which is right up on that northern peninsula between.
Interesting, you said that. In my dialect, we say gan yem, which means going home. And the Frisians say yem gannen. Mm-hmm. Exactly the same. So here we see from MASH fame. And he's going, fucking hell, it's not defended. It is defended. Oops, never mind. And the Germans are about to blow it up. Bang.
Just when they get there.
Wallop. It's gone.
Oh.
Off it goes. Better luck next time, lads.
I don't know why they just don't, call the engineers, throw a pontoon bridge across it.
Yeah, a lot of these, they eventually did put pontoons, but it took like a week to get them working properly.
Bugger.
As we would say in Britain, shite.
Yeah.
In America, you would say shit, as you just said there.
Yeah.
I'll be back shortly.
Brigadier Latterby.
Yes.
Blackberry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's the color saturation that's getting me. That's exactly what it is.
It's really strong, isn't it? So this is the 30th Armored Corps. '30th Corps was way behind because logistic problems, and because the 30th was behind, it was just a really overambitious plan to get everything to everything to come together at the same point was just ridiculously hard.
Well, I mean, just think about the logistics of the whole thing. It's got to be hard to manage, to say the least.
Yeah. But it has to be argued that although it wasn't a success, the ultimate effect of this was it would be bad form to arrive in advance of schedule.
In the nick of time will do nicely.
Yes. One of the phrases is optimistic planning. So the thunderclap surprise was the phrase that kept used over and over again. But there's a string of missed opportunities as well. There was an intelligence failure, which feeds into the conspiracy theory that information was deliberately given away. That's not talked about very often, but it's definitely present. Which, the controversy is that we don't know, but Churchill was aware of the entire plan. And he sort of covered up the failings of the whole thing. He never admitted what went wrong.
So here in like a prime example of psyching yourself out, after getting psyched out at Calais with Operation Overlord, they now completely disregard the top secret plans for Operation Market Garden.
Exactly.
Because they think that it was sent there just to fool them.
There's a lot more to this than meets the eye, definitely. There's a lot more to. There always is. That's an assassination attempt, right. That. People don't realize as well that there are actually assassins operating in warfare. You send people out there to wipe out officers.
And that's what a sniper basically is.
Yeah. But we're approaching the point where the British started to be surrounded. So we've had day one, which was the drop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, day two was the Monday, 18th September, where the 1st Airborne had dropped, 82nd Airborne zone up occupied and pushed on to east of Nijmegen. The 101st lost the bridge at Sun, which is what you just saw before, and they made for another bridge over at a place called Best, but found the approach blocked. So it's already starting to, they're starting to meet resistance.
Right. What a nice town with such nice old world charm. It's about to be destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, most of Holland wasn't as badly damaged as some of the places in France, for example.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So this is Donald Pleasance. Oh. He's not even in the bloody cast list. Oh, no, it's not Donald Pleasance. I was going to say he's not in the cast list. Looks like him.
He's bald and has glasses.
Yeah, looks a bit like him, yeah. So here we have Lieutenant Colonel John Frost, and his objective was Arnhem, and this is the thin end of the wedge. Okay, these were. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish. You were ahead of thought. I apologize.
Sorry, yeah. So these troops were completely cut off, and they were really hammered. I mean, the British should already be telling these people to leave and go as far away as possible.
Yeah, I mean, these poor people bought this house. They thought they'd have a beautiful, view of the river. And these British paratroopers come in and start knocking out all the windows.
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's right by the bridge.
That's a super modern looking bridge too.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously it was filmed in '77 using the current.
Yeah.
This is before CGI. I mean, modern films would probably dress it up a bit more, wouldn't it? With
It literally
CGI.
looks like an overpass somewhere in LA.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Now, this is. I don't know whether this actually happened, but it's. This is the eccentricity again of the public school boy type of thing.
Yep.
Now,
why does he carry a damned umbrella?
no idea. Instead of a stick.
Is that the eccentricity of the public school
I think
boy?
I think by the Second World War, the middle class and upper class realized they had to make some sort of effort to relate to working class of Britain.
So they put down the swagger stick and picked up an umbrella?
Yeah, they also tried to be the everyman, you know?
It's nutty. I'm sorry, that's nutty.
It is nutty. Carl, you'll never understand the British. Don't even bother. I'm British and I don't understand it. So that's a pretty well defended German bunker. Now, as we were saying before, this is stuff which would have been there when they made the film in '77. So that bunker must still be there, preserved.
It's got to be a set. It's got to be a set.
They've just moved it in there.
No.
Right. Well, this is not how you storm a bunker, is it? Really?
No, it's not.
It's a bit of a failed attempt there. Cosmetics commented, "We all live in a loony bin. We all do indeed, Cosmetics, especially these days."
This is yeah.
I'm sure he's seen it, but he needs to rewatch this. Mr. Such an amazing cast. Yes. Yes, it is an amazing cast. And this, like I say, the 60s and 70s, these war movies, there's so many more we can do as well, Carl, isn't it? Like the Eagle Has Landed.
Sure, we could do some other plenty of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
What is it with the British officer, man? Is it like, look, I'm going to go at the head of my men into the worst fire I could possibly find with as ineffectual a weapon as I can possibly find as well?
Yeah.
Just to prove I'm a man.
Part of it. Exactly.
At least carry a damn saber, dude.
Oh, there's a Welshman here. There's a Yorkshireman and a Welshman. Because the corporal's Welsh, he said, "I heard you, boyo." So he's a Welshman, and the private with him is a Yorkshireman.
Well, I can't tell them apart. Which one is the Welshman? Which one's the Yorkshireman?
Well, if you say, and the bloke who's saying boyo, the Welshman,
the guy with
you'll never guess who it is.
Right? On his back or not?
You'll never guess who it is. He was in Krull.
Oh yeah, he was the guy from he was the bandit king from
yeah.
I recognized him. I just didn't realize if he was Welsh or whatever.
Yeah. Hang on.
Holy crap.
Yeah. That's the way you tackle a bunker.
What the hell did they hit?
Well, they used a flamethrower, but they must have hit some ammo somewhere.
They must have. There's your
fox hunting trumpet. The Germans wouldn't have known. Well, they probably would have known. They do a lot of hunting as well. So here's the SS Second Panzer. And these are the real badass bastards.
Yeah, these guys are.
I mean, these are like, you know, baby killing bastards of the Eastern Front. They are like swides. We said cream of the cream for 101st Airborne, etc. And the second Panzer is like bastards of the bastards.
So that we're officially changing their nomenclature to the baby killing bastards of the Eastern Front.
That's it.
That was pretty funny.
Those street lamps, come on, they're pretty anachronistic, aren't they? Like
they look like they could be on my street. They're so modern.
It's like didn't have the budget, but here come the second Panzer. Yeah,
it's really bothering me. It's really bothering me.
And the advanced airborne troops had no artillery to deal. They didn't even have. They didn't have anything but rifles, really.
Yeah, I mean,
a few mortars, but rifles.
Airborne is light infantry, man. They don't have heavy stuff.
Yep.
Those
Nothing to deal with,
right?
Yeah.
Those German half tracks.
Looks like it.
That's pretty cool. These guys are got to be shitting their pants right now.
Yeah. They've just got nothing to deal with it because the whole idea was they were there to occupy the bridge and then the armored divisions move up to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
This goes particularly bad. I remember this scene well. It's very upsetting.
Return fire, you idiots.
No, I don't even think they can do anything at this. It's just like, if it was me, I'd be aiming for the officers standing up in the top of the, you know. Yeah, so they're opening fire from the top of the hotel there.
Oh, nice hit.
Brilliant. So they're grenade launchers they've got there.
Yeah, rifle-propelled grenades.
Yeah. Now this is the Mark IV. You're seeing Brennan guns there, and you're seeing Mark IV rifles as well. The Mark IV was a really good weapon. It only came into production a few months before D-Day. It was really late on the development of the Mark IV. It's an excellent rifle.
Enfield before that?
Well, it was before that they were still using the same Enfield rifles they'd used in the First World War.
Yeah, so the Enfield Mark III.
Yeah, it was a good rifle, but it just wasn't up to the task. So the Mark IV came out just in time. But you're seeing Bren guns, you're seeing Sten
guns.
Sten guns as well.
Yeah, that guy that just got aced. Got one just had a.
Yeah. I mean, without spoiling it too much, they held out for an incredibly long time with very limited weapons, which shows you that if you have the determination to fight on, that makes a huge difference.
Well, having the time to dig in and have a fortified position certainly helps.
And this, honestly, and they are against the cream of the German army. This is like Arnold Schwarzenegger's grandfather running along here. Oh, there we go. It's down. So these are like, they've just defeated one of the advanced columns of the 2nd Panzer.
So that would have been the mounted infantry support.
Yeah, these are the light. This is like sort of like the light brigade of the 2nd Panzer. They're not. It's just like half trucks, like you said. Yeah,
mobile infantry for supporting tanks.
Yeah. So this is going to become a field hospital. This hotel.
Are you gonna pay for the windows afterwards? Probably not.
Now, Anthony Hopkins really does like the British upper class, middle class person really well. Terribly sorry about this, you know. I don't mean a word of this, but sorry.
Right.
Is that like a modern road with the struts, the supports there? That doesn't look period to me.
That's what I was talking about with the bridge looking like an overpass in LA or something.
Yeah. Hello, Dick. Hello, sir. It's only a flesh wound. He's
It's the Black Knight.
blood.
It's the Black Knight.
It's but a scratch.
'Tis but a scratch. They all have such nice scratches.
Yeah, so this is the state of play that they are completely surrounded on the other side, and the British didn't know they were going to be facing the second Panzer.
Well, like we said, it was supposed to be
old men and children. Yeah. And the ironic thing here was the British that did survive were taken prisoners. In the midst of the Germans retreating, you had this weird scene of British troops being taken prisoner. And of course, the Germans made maximum propaganda out of it. So it was not a good time for, you know, the propaganda war.
Of course, yeah.
So I think,
how refreshing, a British officer with a pistol in hand.
Yeah. We had the Browning, which is an American pistol, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But by this stage, it was made under license in Canada as well.
Which model Browning is a 1911 or like a Browning high power? Because it's
no, I think it was a 1911 Browning.
Yeah, that's 1911.
1911 Browning was a standard pistol for British officers.
When did they phase out the Webley? Was that after World War One?
I'm not sure actually.
When like the Webley Mark IV or something like that.
Yeah, because the Browning came in the First World War.
Let's see. Let's see.
There's a German just gone past the window there.
I don't know, man. Maybe it was a different brand, or maybe it's one of those deals where you just bought whatever you wanted.
That's one of those weird things that you hear these stories happening. You know, they've gone to a Dutch house to get this guy bandaged up, and just a random German passed by the window as they were talking to them.
Right.
Shot them dead. And now, because they've gone further ahead of the other troops, there's Germans patrolling all of these streets.
There's nice little locals to give them a shortcut.
Yep.
Oh, they're not giving a shortcut. They're giving a place to hide.
Mm-hmm. Now,
these guys, Sean Connery looks just like the other guy, and the other guy looks just like fat Sean Connery.
Exactly.
Look at it. He looks like fat Sean Connery.
Yeah, it's his cousin, I think. I'm only kidding you.
His cousin John Connery.
There's a Panzer outside. Now, these kind of stories, they must have happened, all of this sort of bizarre stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's Denham Elliott. Mm-hmm. Remember him now from Indiana Jones?
Yeah. What the hell is his character? He was, he was like the university guy.
Yeah, he was like the supervisor of the library and everything.
He was Indiana Jones's boss.
Yeah, he was Indiana Jones's university boss. He played Marcus Brody.
That's right.
Indiana Jones. Who later turned out to be Sean Connery's best friend.
Wow.
Who was
That's
Indiana
quite a
Jones
connection.
Jr. Yeah.
Correct. That is correct.
Because Indiana Jones wasn't Indiana Jones. He was George Jones Jr.
Henry Jones Jr.
Henry Jones. That was it. Henry Jones Jr.
We named the dog Indiana.
Named the dog Indiana.
No, Gene Hackman's god awful Polish accent.
Here's Eindhoven, 48 miles from Arnhem. Now, Eindhoven went actually quite well.
They make beer in Eindhoven, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, Eindhoven's a fantastic place. It's a fantastic place.
And isn't there a famous beer from there, though?
You're probably right, yeah. I think I'd have to check it, but you know, the Dutch they do like a good time, you know.
Oh, there's some party animals. Look at them go.
That is a fantastic scene. That they must have. I mean, that is, you know, they must have told everybody, come out of the town. We're going to make a movie. You know. I've been divorced twice. Does that count? Yeah, that counts. You feel liberated. Mikola. Yeah. American ingenuity. Born in Yugoslavia, but what the hell? There's a British flag, Dutch flags, American flags. This is a US 82nd headquarters south of Nijmegen.
Some poor bloke's nice chateau.
So it's like as if the Germans knew what the plan was.
That room looks like the inside of a New Orleans brothel. That god-awful velvet wallpaper.
Flock wallpaper.
God-awful. It looks like a whorehouse.
Mm-hmm. Very Victorian. Here's Khan.
Is the kid dead? Kid's dead.
Yeah. This is a scene where James Caan goes completely off his tits.
What the hell did he expect? He's jumping into a war zone. He can't guarantee the kid's not going to die.
I can't help thinking, though, when he said, I'm not going to die, say I'm not going to die. It's just like, reminds me of Team America. I will never die.
I guess, but I mean, that's kind of an unreasonable request to make of somebody, don't you think?
It really is. I mean,
promise me while we go into this war zone, I'm not going to die.
Yeah, exactly. There's absolutely no guarantees. So there's an interesting scene. The whole area has been leveled apart from that bit of the town. He finds the young lad there lying on the ground. That's interesting looking little tower there, isn't it, Cole?
Yeah, that looks like a lot of time.
Yeah,
they do stuff like that a lot in Northumbria, in your like Peel Towers, you know, in Scotland.
That's right.
That's kind of like the same concept. I don't know if the listeners know what I'm talking about, but like if you had a little bit of money and you didn't want your neighbors, who oftentimes would come to your land and steal your cattle, to you know murder you in the night. Sometimes it's families would get together and build towers like that.
Yeah. So is that a Panzer or is it a Sherman?
I thought I saw a white cross on the front, so that would make me turn the hell aside too.
Looks like a German tank. So now James Caan's racing through the forest on this Jeep.
Shit.
I wonder if this is where George Lucas got the idea for the speeder bike chase on Endo.
It's not far from it, man.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably based on a true story. You know, all these little stories that came out of the war about people had to do all of these different things to survive.
Well, that was just like with The Longest Day, right? You had all these vignettes of all these personal stories that happened to these guys on that day, and those were all true stories too. So, like the guy who got caught in the bell tower in St. Mary Police, that was true. That happened to a guy.
Yeah.
And same with the guy who crashed into played by Richard Burton, that crashed into the into the little
fall house. Yeah,
that happened to a guy, and so this probably happened as well. It's based on the character is based on a real person, so
they haven't actually seen him. He got into the woods quick enough, and the Germans actually don't even know he's there.
They don't even hear his engine
because the German engines are so loud. There's one German soldier staring at him.
What's he gonna do? Oh shit! He's
more Germans over there. There's a whole battalion coming through.
He's effed.
He's turned his engine off. Just stay still.
This guy seriously did not notice. He looked at him, but
he would have been crapping his pants at this point. Now it's all gone quiet. The Germans have turned their engines off as well. Shit. I think the Germans are saying something like, have you seen the Americans? They're coming over that way. Shit.
That's
going to try and run them over.
Run the blockade.
What? Are you kidding me? What? Didn't get hit.
Oh my God! There's no way he did not get here.
Are you kidding me? Well, the only reason we know that story is because he lived to tell the tale.
I guess. I'm sure Hollywood kind of,
beefed it a bit. Yeah. So he's made it to the field hospital. Yeah, sort of reminds me of MASH, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, kind of. His head's in pretty good condition considering he got shot in the head.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
So there we go. So this is where.
Oh, that's not the kid. That's his captain. That's not the kid that he promised wouldn't die.
No, it is. It is the same one.
Is it? Well, he's got captain's bars on.
Yeah. He's still a kid though.
That kid, he was sitting there with.
It's the same character. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. What kind of? Wow.
I don't know. But a lot of these characters, they sort of make them younger than what they really were. Don't know why.
But I mean, I don't know.
So the doctor's really like, get him out of here. He's dead already. And Con walks out and doesn't walk out. He puts the curtain back. Really insists. He looks at him. Okay, so now he's pulled out his weapon. Is that a Brown? That's a Browning as well, isn't it?
That's a model 1911. Yeah.
Browning, yeah. So the doctor's sort of thinking, yeah, okay, okay.
This is not a good career.
It's not. It's not really a good. Yeah, he'd probably be in prison after the war now.
Oh shit!
The interesting thing is, yeah, as you said, doesn't look that serious. After looking at him, he is actually still alive.
So that's the get out of jail
That's a get
Right
out of
there.
jail free
He
card.
saved his life.
Yep. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard to operate under those conditions. I mean, as a soldier, it's got to be tough. It's got to be even worse. It's got to be just as hard as a doctor trying to save these guys in these dirty field conditions.
Definitely.
Especially when you're talking about the number of casualties you have coming in. These guys are overworked, oftentimes probably not getting sleep for 48 hours.
Yeah, so he basically had a bullet in his skull. That's what it was. So yeah, so court-martial offence. Yeah, so the doctor's not even going to remember it. All right, yeah. Yeah, so he is going to go through it.
Well,
there you go.
That's
so
the guy who understands that this is not something, that happens every day. That's a guy that understands.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about exceptional circumstances.
Yeah.
Which only occurs in warfare, real war. You prepare for war, but war gives you situations that you can't really rehearse for.
Yeah, yeah.
Eddie Doohan. There's a nice Irish name for you.
It is. Working class hero right there.
Damn straight. So here we go. We're getting the pontoons across now, Carl.
Here we go. Following my sage advice. That's the Army Corps of Engineers right there at work.
That's it.
Sure, Army Corps of Engineers fucking up a little bit right there, but they got it.
Yeah, I think it's the Americans and British working together there. So they're fixing them together.
I wonder if people sit around and just say things like, move it, you're not building a sandcastle, just to sound like they're doing something.
Yeah, no. It's the standard spiel of it. They're still... So meanwhile, Sean Connery and his cousin, Fat Connery, are still stuck in that Dutch attic because there's a Panzer outside.
Yep.
And back to the river here, and they're trying to construct this pontoon bridge.
I got to see who Elliot Gould is playing because I got to find out who this guy actually was. Because is he putting on playing this guy like a total ponce, or is it just
I'm not sure, but it's a nice shot that as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It is a nice shot. So, yeah, we're now into the night time where we're trying to. So it did take some effort to produce these bridges, and then of course once you've got them built, you have to protect them because if the Luftwaffe comes across. So I'm just going to find out. Let's have a look.
No, I'm pretty sure that's just Elliot Gould being a ponce himself.
Yeah.
Because the guy he's playing is basically based on Robert Sink, which is
Robert Stout, Colonel Robert Stout.
it's based on
Robert
a guy.
Sink. Yeah, sorry, Robert Sink.
He was portrayed in Band of Brothers by
Yeah.
He was basically the general in Band of Brothers,
Yeah.
and so that dude was not a little ponce like that.
Yeah. He would have been pretty serious. And this is the armored division of the
Irish Guard.
yeah, who aren't able to get across to help the advanced guard.
Right, because the bridge in front of them is blown.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of these positions they had to go across bridges to get back.
Yeah, there's multiple bridges across to get to the point.
Multiple crossings that have to get across one bridge to get over to another bridge. So it was sort of just out of sync. They were there, eventually got what they needed to do, but it wasn't all tied together. They arrived about 3 or 4 days late. This is the Son Bridge, 39 miles from Arnhem. So yeah,
it's pretty good distance away, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that can happen in 5 miles.
Yeah, I mean, you can already see that they're having success, but it's just there's already a delay there, so there's no way they're going to be able to make up for lost time. The advanced troops are already there at the bridge at Arnhem.
Right.
There you go. So he's just said 36 hours, so a day and a half at least. But at this stage, a lot of people thought, yeah, no, this is still going to be a massive success. Yeah. Second. There's a British salute. It's slightly different to the American one. I think the American one, it's like the hands like at horizontal. The British salute is like
the American salute in the Civil War was the same as the British salute.
Right.
It must have changed sometime after that, probably World War I.
Yeah. So the Grave Bridge, 22 miles from Arnhem. So at this point, the Allied troops must have thought, this is actually going okay. We'll be in Berlin by Christmas.
Right.
And look at that scene there. It's so obvious. It's like 1977 Holland.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the budget was for this movie. I think it was pretty good, but so they think this is the artillery column meeting up with them, and it's not.
Yeah, it's a straight up.
It's Panzer. This is a Panzer. Bring up the Piat gun. That is a Panzer.
Oh. And
it's just blown the shit out of that other building with one shot.
Yeah, it's not good.
That is. And they've missed. They've missed with the Piat gun. Bang. Straight out the corner of the building there. And this is just
something
one
way? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, this is one Panzer. Think about it, what happened if they'd been up against Tigers.
Oh, yeah. Well, the problem with the Tiger, though, is it's so slow and requires so much fuel that it wasn't really super effective, but it's so scary as hell, though.
Definitely.
I mean, if you get one
in Saving Private Ryan, in Saving Private Ryan, they have this method of the sticky bomb, isn't it? They have to make this bomb like and stick underneath it, but you've got to get somebody under the tracks.
Right.
And it blows up underneath the tank.
That's why you have to have infantry support for tanks.
Yeah. There's a sneak attack. See, if it was me, I would, after I'd wiped out the Germans, I would capture that tank and use it. I'd be straight in that tank using it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Thought we were dead, sir. We were told you were dead. Hartenstein Hotel, British 1st Airborne HQ.
After an uncomfortable night in a Dutch attic.
Yeah, as you do. That was a bleeding general. This is quite a long movie, by the way, Carl.
I didn't realize it was a 3-hour movie.
I think we've chewed off a big lot here. This is 2 hours 52 in length.
Yeah, 3-hour movie.
It's a bit of an epic.
Check over the wreckage.
He's got a fabulous mustache too.
It is. That's part of the. That's
So
part of the whole.
That's standard issue to British officers, right?
Yeah, it is. Standard military mustache.
Johnny Frost is screwed.
So we're now at day. I believe this is. Right. There we go. So this is day 4, I believe. Now, so there's another mistake there with the radios. This whole thing about the radios didn't work. Radios that didn't work. Plans that were deliberately found by the Germans.
Well, the Germans made up for that by completely ignoring them.
It's all very suspicious, though. The whole thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and
There we go.
all the stuff they dropped was like just outside the Allied line. So all the equipment and ammunition they dropped for them fell in right into where the Germans were.
Right.
And I'm sorry, like, if you can't see a large burning V, I mean, it reminds me of the Battle of the Bulge, where the American Air Force was dropping stuff and the Germans were getting it.
Yeah, it's madness.
That plane's going down.
I'm sorry, Pete. I have to mute it. I have someone outside
No,
the door.
mute. I'll hold the fort. So yeah, day 4 was the Arnhem Bridge. Germans overcame pockets of resistance. Oosterbeek, the 1st Airborne Division, was gathering there for their last stand. And then also at Nijmegen, the US 82nd did not drop men on both sides of the bridge, and the troops were dropped on the south side. The Panzers the Germans used were making mistakes as well, apparently. Tactical mistakes. So there was mistakes on both sides. So here's a paratrooper trying to get to the tube that's just been dropped.
Right.
And he's either going to get shot
or blown up.
Or blown up.
Oh, look at that guy go. Superman.
I know, but he's gonna get shot to shit. Like, I don't even know what's inside the canister.
It
They're
doesn't
not giving
matter.
him any cover and fire or anything.
It's an open field beyond those trees. Why don't they fire back?
Yeah. And it was just
Oh,
berets. A delivery of berets.
that's
Now,
ridiculous.
that's just what the hell was going on. What the hell was going on? I'm sure that this operation was made to fail.
Yeah,
really
yeah. The
think it
more and
was
more you think
deliberate.
about it, it kind of looks that way, huh,
It's
Pete?
gotta be. I mean, I never even thought about it before we were talking about this before the show, and I'd never even considered that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm gonna mute myself while I open my my next beer. Pardon me for a second.
That's quite all right. Jasper and I will hold down the fort. Here we are at the hotel again. Slowly progressing from a nice hotel to a shithole. These poor people. And as you can see, they turned it serving as their field hospital here. Oh, even the guy got injured. The poor owner got injured.
Yeah, they're
Mom
all
is like,
casualties.
whoa,
Taxi.
lost her mind.
It's like, yeah. Oh my God, she's been shot. Or has she? Yeah. That's pretty harsh, isn't it?
That's not nice.
Well, that's the Germans.
It's not nice.
They don't take prisoners. Kate Hurst's house. These must have been like a lot of famous. Ah, here we are, Laurence Olivier.
Sir Laurence Olivier.
Let's listen to Laurence Olivier's Dutch accent and see if it's accurate. It's about this time that Laurence Olivier was also playing roles in like Boys from Brazil.
Yeah, he took a lot of weird roles towards the end of his career, didn't he?
Yeah,
he's a strange guy. If you look at his life and
Yeah.
stuff, he's a lot of
Yeah.
weird stuff going on.
yeah. I mean, the 1970s as well. There was a bit of a fascination with Nazis who were gonna come back from oblivion to take over the world, like neo-Nazi groups and all that, wasn't there? Like
I don't know. That was like I was too young. To
boys
really
from
know.
there was Boys from Brazil, which was
Yeah.
the idea that Hitler had been cloned,
Mhm.
and then there was Running Man. Sorry, not
Marathon-
Running Man. That's Marathon Man. Running Man. So Marathon Man with what's his name again?
It was Dustin Hoffman, wasn't it?
Dustin Hoffman, and that's where Laurence Olivier plays Deviser Engel, who was like the Nazi guy who's come back to get his diamonds.
Right.
So there's a lot of that in the 1970s. I wonder why there was that kind of fascination.
Well, I mean, think about the 70s. That generation starting to die out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe there was just I don't know. That's a really good question.
Well, this is Liv Ullmann, who is playing the role of Kate. Must be a well-to-do local person, and her house, which is a lovely house with lots of nice things in it. But by the end of the movie, there's nothing left of it. And
was a lovely
family,
house.
yeah,
It was a lovely house.
Devastated. So if it was me and there was this German with a white flag, I'd just shoot him in the head. Because that's what they would do to us. They just don't take prisoners.
Well, I mean, they do. I mean, but you got to decide who you're going to surrender to, right? Is this
So
guy
the German,
or SS?
the Germans said, "There's no point in continuing this fighting," and so Anthony Hopkins' answer was, "Tell him to go to hell." We can't accept your surrender. Anything else? Off you go, Lieutenant, whatever your name is.
See you later, Fritz.
Off you go.
Well, there's a military tradition. You don't shoot people under a white flag because they'll do the same to you.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that it did happen in World War II doesn't mean you want to make them really mad in case you're in, a position. That guy's SS. Yeah, you don't want to surrender those guys.
Yeah.
He's a baddie. He's got a skull on his cap. That's how you can tell.
That's it. Flatten on him. So the Germans decide, just out of spite, to absolutely ruin Arnhem.
Yeah.
So this is the civilians dying in the conflict here.
There's that poor kid again.
Mm-hmm. And this is just out of spite. The Germans are losing, so let's kick the shit out of the locals just so they suffer,
That's a pretty common occurrence.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Now his son's dead.
Oh, no.
And he was saying earlier in the movie he was 9 when they came and 14 when they're leaving.
Yep.
But that's it. He's dead. Game over. So, and all because of some Austrian upstart lieutenant.
Corporal. He's a corporal.
Corporal. Not even a lieutenant. He was a corporal. The Austrian corporal. With one ball and he couldn't even paint.
But he won 2 Iron Crosses in World War I, so...
He still only one ball, though, Carl.
That's true. That's true.
So now we've got to day 5, which is where the Allied forces are starting to realise there's no way to bring everything together.
Grenadier Guard, huh?
Yeah, and the resources just aren't there. This is the ridiculous plan of the leather or canvas boats.
Mm-hmm.
And this was ridiculous when they sent the American Airborne across in these canvas boats.
He cracked his spine when he landed, huh?
Yeah, and he's still sort of walking around and.
I mean, what are you going to do? The war ain't going to stop just because you cracked your spine, right?
Yeah, damn right. See all these lorries, Carl. Well, these are American lorries, but they've been driven by British troops because, America had the means of production, and we got lots of stuff. We had to pay it all back, of course. But the British Army got loads of material during the war. But that's another major thing about this whole advanced logistics element of it, with the, all of the equipment and ammunition that had to be transported. Oh, here's Robert Redford. So Robert Redford is playing himself, really. Cool guy. Major Julian Cook, who was commanding officer 3rd Battalion, 504th PIR. He was also in charge of the 82nd Airborne. And this is the Maas-Waal Canal
Mm-hmm.
and the Waal River. Now, this was actually a success, eventually. But this wasn't the first time the American Airborne were given these absolutely mad missions to do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the role of light infantry, though, right? The role of light infantry is to do those kinds of things: the skirmishing, the infiltration behind the lines,
Forlorn hopes and things
yes,
like that.
exactly. Your heavy infantry is your line troops.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. The British at Arnhem were just in a pressure cooker, really.
Yep. Oh.
So the lorries have been attacked there. There's a personal element to this movie as well, Carl. I'll tell you later. It's something in my family history about Arnhem. My grandfather was at Arnhem.
Oh, wow. Wow. In daylight?
Yeah, it was insane, this plan. But, you know, the 101st, 82nd, they were just like brave as hell, weren't they, really?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be brave to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't worry, we'll cover you.
Don't worry, we'll cover you. Yeah, there was only one, because of course a lot of this part of Holland, it's land which is about at sea level, so it's a lot of it floods, and there's not much land where you can build a decent road, so there's hardly any roads
as well, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. Have you recognized that soldier there? Look.
Of course, I told you that was clipped from Cheers.
Yeah. I think it's one of his first roles.
It's funny, you see him pop up in movies every once in a while, especially some of the older ones.
Yeah, like weird little parts.
Yeah, little bit parts.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm drinking a really nice beer right now, Carl.
Is it Belgium?
Black Sheep Brewery's Milk Stout.
Where's Black Sheep Brewery at?
It's in Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
You
should be drinking a Carlsberg or something. This is the Netherlands, man.
Well, there are a few Dutch beers that I do like, but I'm more when it comes to the Low Countries, I prefer Belgian beers.
Yes.
So here we go. So Michael Caine, whose character...
Look at all those officers. There's a lot of officers.
Yeah. There was a lot of command staff involved in this operation. It was supposed to be a smooth, quick running operation. So, so quick speech by Redford here, Redford's character. Go across like George Washington, stand of the proud. So can you see the level of the ground and then the level of the roads?
Yes.
The roads are raised about 30 feet high because a lot of the land is actually sea level.
Yeah, so they have they built levees up over the centuries to kind of...
Yeah, exactly. They've reclaimed a lot of this land from the sea. So these canvas boats, I don't know. This is... Yeah, these things were used over and over again
Right.
for like river missions and things like that, but they were crap, absolutely crap. To do this in the daylight is just ridiculous.
It is. It's insanity.
It's just so ill-equipped. And here's the British Shermans. Well, you know, Shermans. Oh, there! Oh, look, in the background.
They're going to try a river assault.
It will fail. Of course, it will fail. But what do we do if it doesn't? I ask your permission to blow up the bridge. Out of the question.
Well,
I understand. Jawohl, jawohl, Herr Feldmarschall.
To me, it's one of those things. If you're going to die anyways, you may as well just blow the bridge. If it comes down to it. Yep, he's smart.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I mean, this is the standard tale of one particular German officer who knows what's going on in the chain of commands. Like,
well, we saw the same kind of thing in The Longest Day, right? With our buddy Pluscott.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of men going over there.
I'm assuming they have their rifles inside the boats.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I mean, this is a lot of ground to cover. Broad daylight. It's just suicide. Ground.
Yeah.
It's suicide. You know?
It's nutty.
Yeah. So the
why the British stopped bombarding over there.
Yeah.
The best time to get across is while they're still bombarding.
Yeah, I mean that's the Shermans are supposed to provide smoke cover.
Oh, is that what it was? They weren't giving them fire cover.
Yeah. And it's a huge area of water to cover. It's just a fool's mission.
Yeah, even if you don't get hit by the shell, I mean, it's going to blow you around.
Yeah, this is it.
You can run off course.
It's just ridiculous. Let's take the cream of our troops, put them in canvas boats across a massive area they've got to cross, like sitting ducks. It's just, what the hell? Now, this wasn't Monty's. I know Monty had made loads of mistakes. He admitted to it, but this is just a monumental screw up.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's hoping for a Hail Mary. And, I mean, so I don't know what the Germans were thinking when this was happening.
They were thinking easy pickings.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they get across, they stand a good chance to do something if they can actually make land and take cover.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the 86 Airborne didn't take a lot of, what's it got here? They nicknamed it the Val. They tried crossing the Val 5 times with ferry across the battalions. They nicknamed it the Little Omaha.
Oh man!
In reference to Omaha Beach.
Right.
200 paratroopers were killed. German losses exceeded 267. German forces withdrew from both ends of the bridge, After the 30 Corps, Irish Guards tanks secured the bridge finally, supported by elements of the US 505. But, you know, the 82nd got hammered. 5 attempts to cross.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's just disrespect. It's a waste of fighting men.
It's a waste of life for nothing, for very
It's
little
a
gain.
waste of veterans as well, experienced veterans. Absolute. You see, the Germans have got snipers positioned. You saw one of the snipers there was actually Hitler Youth.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though, Pete, is when you're in a bad situation and you're not making rational thoughts because you know you are in that desperate situation, you make mistakes and you make bad decisions like this. They're trying to get to the guys in Arnhem, right? So
yeah,
and they know the situation is desperate, and they're making stupid mistakes because of it. Well, not necessarily stupid. I mean, theoretically, it's a good idea, but just there's nothing.
They had the positioning of men worked out. You know, paratroop drops, glider drops, fine, but they couldn't drop the artillery, and they couldn't even drop like you know, anti-tank.
If they start doing that, then they risk damaging the bridge.
Yeah.
So that's, if anyone's watching, why aren't they shooting mortars over the river? Which was what I was just thinking. Why the hell aren't they shooting a mortar? Or why is there mortar fire? It's because if they
didn't have them,
the whole thing's screwed.
Yeah. I mean, in later battles, in later warfare, you had the ability to transport artillery and via helicopter and things like that. But and then you got the stage where you just bombed everything, you know, and napalmed everything and stuff like that. But I mean, at this stage, you know,
at this stage, it's just a drone strike on their HQ.
Yeah. And we really, I mean, I don't understand where the air cover was. You know, we had air superiority. Why wasn't it used? You know? It just,
yeah, I mean, it's a good question because at this point, Paris has been liberated for some weeks, right? So, I mean, are there still are they still fighting partisans or something like that? Or is it not 100% secure?
Yeah.
Because why would you have to come all the way from England?
Yeah.
You have fields in northern France.
Goodness me. Shit.
I mean, obviously there's a reason for all of that, but we just don't know why.
Yeah.
That's got to be an awful way to go right there.
Yeah. Oh, man. They're going to blow it just as the Shermans come across. They're going to set the charge just as the Shermans are coming. Those charges have got to be... man. Yeah, I remember this scene in the movie as well. This is really one of the pivotal scenes. It's like, you know, we've got to get to the charges. And this is it about the 82nd, 101st, all the Airborne, they were just thrown in to do everything.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were using quite a utility role after. Oh, crap.
So what happened there? Divine intervention, Colin?
Or a lapse in German efficiency.
Divine intervention. So, one final success. At least one armored column got through.
Robert Redford saved the day.
Robert Redford.
It's too bad he's such a lefty.
Yeah, true. Meanwhile, in Arnhem, With British paras at the thin end of the wedge.
Now, is this part of the same British paratroop regiment that's famous for all the other things they've done since?
Are they the first paras? Hang on. Arnhem. Yeah, first paras. The first paras are like the most prestigious.
Are they the ones that were in Northern Ireland for decades?
Yeah. They're pretty much the hardest troops the British have got. It's, you know, if you don't die and you're still alive, basically.
Right.
Finally got through. I mean, this thing about the radio's not working is just bizarre.
Yeah, I wonder what that's all about. Is it maybe something to do with the weather?
No. Honestly, I don't understand. Because these were different radios they used and they didn't work.
So they were different radios they used just for this?
Just for this operation.
All right, Pete, come on.
Yeah,
come on, Pete.
It's gotta
Come on,
be.
Pete.
It's gotta be on it. Yeah.
Pete, why are they delivering fucking berets in the middle of battle?
Exactly.
Seriously, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. 30 call was about 2 or 3 days late.
What does that mean, Peter? What is 30 call?
But 4 days they held out, for God's sake, and yet more. I mean, it's not over yet.
Yeah, those dudes are tough, man.
You know, by this stage, the fourth paras had led an attempt against the Germans in Oosterbeek.
What's your timestamp, Pete?
My timestamp now is 2:22 and 20.
All right. So he just got his leg shot off, basically?
Yeah, and now we have an armored column ordered to stop. They were actually ordered to not progress. It gets thicker and thicker, this plot. There's too many steps to it. They were taking on Nijmegen and Arnhem at the same time.
Yeah, man.
The whole of northwest Holland in one go. It's just
the more you
ridiculous.
look at it, the more it's super weird.
It is.
Not gonna lie.
That's true. So at this stage, we're on to day 5.
Yeah, they're not looking too good right now. It's not looking too good for you boys. This is probably. Is this the worst? The worst of it for the British in World War II, or would you say like something like even worse?
It was one of the hardest times. Yeah. There's some pretty hairy stuff in North Africa, and at the start of the war, of course.
Right.
The Blitz was pretty hard. The Battle of Britain. You see, the whole of Europe caved. This is why I don't want to be part of the EU, because when Hitler rolled across Europe, Europe just caved. We were the only ones who said, "Fuck off, Hitler." Yes, the French mounted a resistance, and there was some good resistance in Holland as well and other countries, but we were the only ones who said, "No thanks."
Right.
And I really believe that we should always be an independent island.
Well,
I believe in sovereignty and independence, Carl.
I agree. I'm with you, Pete. And you should be.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, Britain's been detached from Europe and never really, considered themselves continental.
Correct.
Is that is correct?
Correct.
So, always been a breed apart. So
We've
yeah.
always been slightly rebellious. We've always said that we're not going to conform to the European thing.
Well, obviously, there's times they force you to
Yeah.
conform. Like 1066, they made you conform.
Yeah. Well, we fought off the Armada. We fought off Napoleon, and we fought off Hitler, with the help of you guys, of course.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. But regardless, keep that stiff upper lip and don't let these twerps in Brussels tell you what to do.
Well, I was saying to a friend of mine who's a former policeman. It was, let's not forget, it was Hitler's plan to have a federal Europe and all this kind of thing. So the Germans are actually retreating at this point as well, Carl. They're successfully holding the British advance, but they're at the same time retreating. So this is a point where the British have now finally been captured at this point here. And Anthony Hopkins, his character, the German Prussian officer shows him respect, as he should. This is a fine officer who's held out so long.
Yeah.
And it's very good chocolate. Your planes dropped it just yesterday. So he's offering him a bar of Cadbury's chocolate, Carl.
Yeah, there you go.
The British dropped their own chocolate on the Germans. English. Well, so he's starting to work it out now. There's been a rabbit off from the start.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough thing. I mean, he's facing the rest of the war in a prisoner of war camp, and that's not going to be fun.
Yeah. And here come the Polish, and it's not their fault. Far too late.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, they kind of feed the Polish stereotype with this whole thing, don't they?
Now, the Polish were eager to get back at the Germans as however many times they could because of their, and this is another conspiracy, because of the Polish aristocracy and the Polish upper class. I firmly believe that Poland was deliberately sold out to the Germans because the Polish military and the Polish working class were, to a certain extent, determined not to be run by the Germans. And here the Germans are just picking off the Polish paratroops.
I would modify your conspiracy theory on that with the following. I would say that it's not because they didn't want to be ruled by the Germans that they were sold out. I would say if the Polish aristocracy sold out the people, they sold them out because they were very anti-communist.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And, the Polish thing's a difficult one because there was other things tied up in that where there was to a certain extent, there was an anti-Jewish thing in Poland as well, wasn't there? Don't forget Auschwitz.
Absolutely.
Auschwitz is in Poland.
The Polish, it's a
complicated.
There were Polish people that ended up joining the SS as well.
Yeah,
kind of like the Ukrainians joined the SS. it was some pretty hairy stuff. There's some pretty ugly stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
And but I mean, the Polish. I mean, World War II was not their war to shine, but they are a fighting people, and they have a fighting spirit, and they wanted everything. They wanted nothing more than to do their part in the war, and they did.
Yeah.
They did. They fought hard, and there weren't a whole lot of them, but defense of your homeland and love of your country is a huge motivator, and they were some of the toughest dudes in the war. But
Absolutely.
they got it here.
Absolutely.
They got it here, and it wasn't good.
Yeah, that's true. So we're seeing the war of attrition here, where it's the toll it takes on young men, and it's young men, old men start the wars, young men die in the wars.
Well, yes, but here's one thing I will credit the British upper class with: the mortality rates among the officer class they pride themselves on them being higher than on the enlisted class.
Yeah.
I mean, not in terms of numbers, because obviously there's always going to be way more enlisted men than there are officers, but the rates per capita.
I'll tell you now, I'm getting that really got to me there. That really hit me.
Yeah, he's passing away. He's reading to her.
Well, she's reading Psalm 91. Right. Psalm 91 is like, it's just one of my favorites. It's like, it's there to tell you that, all the shit that comes through life, like, it's a psalm of hope. Psalm 91.
Yeah. And you need that, because in a situation like that, all hope is dead.
Shit, you need it in this world. You know what it is? It's us. We've created our own hell on earth with all this shit, You were talking about the way that the Shermans were modified, and this was what was the guy's name we talked about this in the D-Day stream? It was the guy who invented all the different versions of the Sherman tanks. He called them his oddities or something. What was it called again?
I have no idea. That might have been Aldous that commented on that. That guy, he's got weird knowledge tucked away in his brain somewhere.
Yeah, it was this British guy who invented all these variants of the Sherman. This is a guy you want to be your mate in a war, right? A massive bugger like that to pick you up and carry you off the battlefield.
Yeah.
So, Carl, if there's ever a war,
I'll carry you off the battlefield, buddy.
Thank you. I've got your back.
Thanks.
Yeah. So it came really, really close, to be honest, Carl. 30 Corps was within a days of meeting up with the Paras.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have actually worked.
He swam down the Rhine.
The radios were all up the spout.
Give that man the Victoria Cross for swimming across that river.
But, this thing about the radios is just ridiculous.
There's something strange about that. There's you add all the cool things that went along with it. Something strange. It's very odd.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Polish try this at night, which is at least a bloody good idea. So they're all
Well,
painted
it may not
black.
be a bloody good idea, but it's certainly a better idea, right?
Yeah. So here they go, rubber dinghies, nighttime, painted black, blacked out. Carl, a quick question. If a soldier blacks his face out for nighttime combat, is that considered racist?
I think, in my personal opinion, anything you have to do win is okay.
Yeah.
Because you're fighting not only for your life, but your friend's life.
Yeah.
Forget about whatever cause you're going to war for. You're
Yeah.
there to survive. All things are on the table.
Yeah. Oh. That's failed then.
Oh man.
I wonder if we looked at the historical significance of what else was going on at this time when this operation was occurring. Where were the Russians when this was happening? When was the Battle of the Bulge? Was that?
That was December of 44.
December of 44. Is there any parallels between this and the Battle of the Bulge?
No, this is an offense. We're doing an offensive here. The Allies are on offensive. Battle of the Bulge was a Axis offensive. Maybe it parallels a little bit. I don't know. Could be.
I mean, I just wonder because I've heard stories about in the Battle of the Bulge where the Germans were getting American food rations and equipment. They were dropping them in the wrong areas, and
yeah. So here's what's going on in September 1944 at the same time. Day 1, September 17th, is 3rd Canadian Division hits Boulogne in northern France.
Yep.
The Operation Paravane ends with a bomb hitting the German battleship Tirpitz, disabling that ship.
Yeah.
Battle of San Marino begins in the Italian campaign. The Soviets begin the Tallinn offensive in Estonia. Battle of Angar in the Palau Islands in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
That's just on that first day.
Yeah, because that sounds to me like, the Germans were way off getting into the Russians, beg your pardon. The Russians were way off getting into Germany.
Yeah, they are.
At this point, because they have to fight all the way through Poland, whereas we were poised to go straight over the Rhine.
Yeah, and so in answer to our previous question about why they aren't utilizing France, on September 18th, there's a battle in the French town of Ericourt. So I don't think France has been completely pacified by this point, that there's still holdout pockets. Because remember, we're going way north of the Siegfried Line, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So lower western and southern France still aren't pacified. So that's probably why they're not utilizing that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. And of course, at this point, when was Operation Valkyrie?
Valkyrie, I think. Let's see. I'll look it up for you. It was July, so it had just happened. It happened a month and a half earlier.
Because I'm thinking the German officer who's just agreed to a ceasefire, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The Prussian military element at this point already had lost all faith in Hitler.
Well, certain elements did.
And they didn't agree with a lot of it.
No, you're right. You're right. It was very specific. The Prussian aristocracy of the Wehrmacht had basically turned. That would have been guys like Rommel and God, who's the guy with the eye patch? I forget, but yeah, those kinds of guys. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I'm thinking there was an element of in the Germans who were prepared to deal.
Mm-hmm. You see,
we're hoping that, look, let's call the whole thing off. We'll retreat to Germany. The war will end. Please don't devastate our country. We'll call off the war. It's all over.
There were, you have examples of that. God, I forget where it was at, but it was in southern Germany, like when they were crossing into Bavaria. I believe there was a place where the German commander just, negotiated a truce for whatever town or bridge he was guarding. I forget exactly what that was, but yeah, that kind of thing did happen towards the end.
So now we've finally got to day 9. And this is the Germans are forced ahead. They cut the road off at the south of Weckel, and they set up defensive for positions. There was a new front line in Nijmegen. It's Nijmegen which made the difference. And the 1st Airborne Division with 4th Battalion, the Dorsetshire Regiment, the 2 companies were put across the river, but the location of the crossing point was ill-advised. The day 9, which was Monday the 25th of September, at dawn, the 1st Airborne received orders to withdraw, and they were completely surrounded. They couldn't withdraw. And at this point, it was actually too late to withdraw. But it was amazing that one bloody mile, they said, you couldn't accomplish that. 1 bloody mile had to come up the road. 1 mile, Carl.
Yeah, 1 mile.
And what happened? They were told to stand 2 days. They managed to stand 9 days. They did actually manage to evacuate a lot of the remaining troops that were still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a controlled retreat. I mean,
and this has got to be one of the hardest parts of the operation, making a clean withdrawal without getting murdered, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Roy Urquhart, who at this time he was only 43. He was 43 years old. Commander of the 1st Airborne Division, 1st Paras, really. Well-respected veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, after Arnhem, it says here, he was a senior staff member. He was given command of the 1st Airborne. He held out for 9 days against the 2nd SS Panzer Corps. Heavy casualties suffered. And then after that, he was awarded the Dutch Bronze Lion for his command. In May 45, after the German surrender, He led reconstituted 1st Airborne in Operation Doomsday, which is the Allied occupation of Norway. Because the Germans held out in Norway. Did you know?
I didn't know. How long did they hold out for?
Until May that year.
Oh, okay. So
there was pockets of German resistance who didn't accept defeat. After the war, he had several staff positions. He was in Malaya and also finished his career in the Scottish divisions. So, but in later life, he did publish his own account of all of this. Arnhem, Britain's infamous airborne assault of World War II. So maybe he knew more than he was letting on with all of this.
did he at least get an order to order the British Empire or anything like that?
Did
Any
he?
nice little acronyms?
Yeah,
after
he got a
his name?
CB and a DSO, a Distinguished Service Order.
And CBE is commander of the British Empire, right?
Yeah, and the DSO is considered more of an honor. That's a Distinguished Service Order.
Right.
So here's General Browning's headquarters. So by this stage, we're on to day 9. The British are withdrawing. It's just about over. And here's, as we said earlier, this is Roy Urquhart appearing here. Now, I know it's pretty obvious, but those ducks sound like they're laughing.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole thing's a whole crazy joke. Like, ha, ha, ha. Like, the whole thing was a comedy and it was never meant to succeed from the start. So looking at the more dead, anything but a comedy, the aftermath of this was that the Second Army and 1st Airborne Corps British troops lost over 13,000 men. And also, as we said before the show call, the American 18th Airborne lost almost 4,000 troops, which is not
Second
the 18th Airborne Corps, sorry, which was the here we go. So this is where the famous lines are read. 10,000 men in, 2,000 out. And this is the rhetoric that Monty and Churchill came out with in the end, called the operation 90% successful. Well, as you know, I have a thought that we tried to go a bridge too far. There's the famous quote from the character that Dirk Bogart is playing. Lieutenant General Frederick Boy Browning. I always thought we tried to go a bridge too far. Of course, he didn't say that earlier. He only said that now after it was a defeat. And of course, the Germans took lots of prisoners in this. It was an incredibly costly operation.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? You said something like 13,000 casualties?
Over 13,000, yeah.
So that's killed, wounded, and captured.
I believe that's casualties. German casualties are hard to determine. I think it's about 3,000.
So, I mean, combine an ambitious plan with poor weather, with some very questionable command decisions, And this is what you get, right?
Exactly. And ultimately, if you talk about, very quickly, Victoria Crosses, a total of 5 Victoria Crosses were awarded.
Oh, the flute
day.
player got his hands blown off. Now he can't play the flute anymore. That's a microcosm of the tragedy.
No, the singing Abide With Me. Which is a call to honor, because these men were really thrown to the fire.
That is true. They absolutely were.
The Medal of Honor, Carl, was
Yeah.
awarded to 2 American soldiers, both posthumously. Private First Class Joe E. Mann of the 401st, under attack, injured in both arms, bandaged to his body, yelled "grenade" and threw his body over the grenade. As it exploded, he died.
Oh my
Private
God.
John R. Towle, 82nd Airborne Division, under attack, and motivated only by his high conception of duty, rushed approximately 125 yards through grazing enemy fire to an exposed position for which he could engage an enemy half-track with his rocket launcher. While in a kneeling position, preparing to fire the enemy vehicle, Private Towle was mortally wounded by a mortar shell. By his heroic tenacity, at the price of his life, Private Towle saved the lives of many of his comrades and was directly instrumental in breaking up the enemy counterattack. So that was 2 Medals of Honor awarded during the conflict. So here we see the once wealthy family of Dutch family here, who now leave their house with a few items. The house is devastated.
Yeah, they have basically nothing left. They're leaving with their
And their
worldly possessions.
garden, and their garden is now a cemetery filled with impromptu British and American graves. And this is the price of warfare.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that, how warfare is attrition. This could be a medieval scene, pulling a cart.
Absolutely.
The
smoky haze.
Yeah.
In the atmosphere as well gives it.
Yeah. And that's the closing scene.
No fanfare.
No fanfare. So, Winston Churchill famously said, "As regards Arnhem, I think you've got the position a little out of focus. The battle was a decided victory, but the leading decision, asking quite rightly for more, was given a chop. I have not been afflicted with any feeling of disappointment over this, and I'm glad our commanders are capable of running this kind of risk. The risk was justified by the great prize so nearly in our grasp. Clearing the Scheldt estuary and opening the port of Antwerp had been delayed for the sake of the Arnhem thrust. Thereafter, it was given first priority." So Churchill just covered it up. CBS war correspondent Bill Downs, assigned to Montgomery's campaign since the Norman invasion, famously said of Nijmegen, "It was a single isolated battle that ranks in magnificence and courage with Guam, Tarara, Omaha Beach, a story that should be told to the blowing of bugles and the beating of drums for the men whose bravery made the capture of this crossing over the Vaal River possible." In 1948, Eisenhower wrote, "The attack began well and unquestionably would have been successful except for the intervention of bad weather." And also famously, Montgomery, the only senior staff who admitted mistakes, said, "It was a bad mistake on my part. I underestimated the difficulties of opening up the approaches to Antwerp. I reckoned the Canadian Army could do it while we were going for the Ruhr. I was wrong. In my prejudiced view, if the operation had been properly backed from its inception and given the aircraft, ground force and administration resources necessary for the job, it would have succeeded in spite of my mistakes or the adverse weather or the presence of the 2nd Panzer Corps in the Arnhem area. I remain Market Garden's unrepentant advocate. So at least Montgomery admitted to mistakes and his own mistakes. But I think overall, it could
That's
be
just the thing,
suggested.
though, man. I mean, we can look back on it with hindsight,
Hmm.
and we can. I'm going to pause it here. It's just the credits right now, but we could look back on it with hindsight. And yeah, there's some red flags. There were some definite red flags that they missed, but you know, like they say, no plan survives contact with the enemy. So there's no way to predict it. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, some of this was preventable by. I can't even explain the whole screw ups with where the tanks can't advance because they're told not to go any further, or they're dropping replacement berets for the troops instead of food and ammunition, or the pilots are so duty bound to follow his orders to the letter that they cannot deviate their drop zone by 300 yards. That kind of thing. I cannot fathom. I cannot fathom that beyond something nefarious, because that just makes no sense.
Exactly.
But
I know you lost relatives in D-Day. I lost my grandfather through the push through Arnhem.
So you actually lost your grandfather through the push?
Yeah, and he was in the artillery train. He was a lorry driver.
Oh boy!
I won't go into the details, but
right.
My mother's mother, my nana, was hanging out flags on Victory in Europe Day when an officer came down the street to give her the bad news that her husband was dead.
Wow! So she didn't find out till 9 months after it happened?
Mm-hmm.
Wow!
And it was actually on, the time of people setting out all the celebrations for VE Day. So, and at that point, she was,
man.
Yeah, she was. How old was she? She was 28.
Wow!
So, and she never married again.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm.
That's tough.
Mm. So, the war was hard on everybody. But yeah,
you're gonna have to pick a happy movie next time, Pete.
But yeah, I think it's been a sobering one this time.
This was apt though, because like you said, it's a 75th anniversary. So people need to know these stories. They need to know these things happened. This was real.
Definitely.
It's part of our history.
Definitely. Well, absolutely. And the reason we've done this is to, honor the memories of both the fallen American soldiers and the fallen British soldiers who fought.
Hell, even the civilians caught in the crossfire.
Absolutely. On those 9 days in Arnhem. So thanks to everybody who came to tune in and watch tonight, and anybody who might come and watch later on recorded. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for being here. And thanks again to my co-host, Carl. And join us again, because I'm sure we'll do more Movie Watch live shows in the near future. And that's everything. So thank you for watching. Good night.